when it comes to quality, it's really hard to define because it really depends on the background we are coming from, our knowledge, our tastes, right? What's high quality for me might not be so for someone else, right? So that's why it's so hard to define, and it's a subjective thing, and most of us are used to code in the way we think the best. So probably it might be not the best for someone else. So good morning, everyone. So thank you very much, ICT Agency of Sri Lanka, for inviting me to speak at this event and be a part of this great national initiative. I say that because we don't usually get to see this kind of initiatives or programs being organized these days, especially focusing on the quality aspect of software. So on the other hand, we all have seen the demand and need for quality software engineers when it comes to the industry. So I hope with this kind of programs we'll get to work more and more with quality software engineers and let the world know what quality software is and what Sri Lankan programmers are capable of, right? So I'm extremely happy to be here today talking about this particular topic of why quality code, because I've been a big advocate in this area for a long time. It's not to say that I have been always writing quality code. I have written a lot of bad code as well, and I still do at times. However, the important thing is I have seen the benefit of writing good and quality code, and also the other side of it, the consequences of having bad code. And I have been trying to improve myself over time and pushing my colleagues and encouraging them to write quality code as well. So my name is Subhash Vitana Kathiran, and I actually started programming when I was 13. As a kid of 6 or 7 years, I used to play a lot of computer games and use the computer for to do different software, right? I mean, to use software. As I reached my teens, I started using the internet and I started browsing websites. So whenever I used something on the computer, I was really curious to find out how these things were built and who are responsible for creating all these cool things inside the computer. So that curiosity really got me into the field of programming. Since then, I have been doing a lot of self-learning and research, hobby projects, freelance projects for my friends and small organizations. As soon as I finished my school, advanced level, I joined the industry because I was so keen to work on much larger projects than I could do at home. Since then, I have been working at a full stretch for past 12 years, out of which 8 years with K-Labs. That's where I'm working right now as a software architect. So, during this journey of mine for, let's say, 12 years, I have worked with different kinds of programmers. They are of C#, Java, PHP, JavaScript, UI, UX engineers, mobile developers. So that's a wide range. A frequent question that I've been getting from most of these engineers was, if the software that they have written is working, why am I so bothered about how the code is implemented? Right? Why am I so concerned about how the variables are defined, how much comments they have written, and how the code is structured. So this is a question that I've been getting for a long time. And this is what we are going to talk today, as well as in this session for next couple of days. Welcome to Quality Code. Right. In this session of mine, I'm going to focus mainly on two things. I'm going to talk about what quality code is. We'll try to come up with some kind of a definition to it, although it's going to be hard. And later, we'll talk about why quality code is important to have in our projects. However, in this session of mine, I'm not going to talk about different techniques and ways to write quality code, because I know all the speakers who will speak after me will go into details about these topics of different techniques, best practices and tools of writing quality code. Okay, so if you have any questions in the middle, raise your hand, I'll take the question. You don't really have to wait till the end. So, before you ask me any questions, I'm going to ask you one, right? What is quality code? Does anyone voluntarily like to answer this question? Anyone from here? What do you think, sir?
Code that's easy to manage, and if you're adding enhancements, it's easy because everything's organized.
Yes, that's actually a very good answer. If I go and ask this question from 10 different programmers, not only from here, but anywhere in the world, I'm sure I'll end up getting like 12 different answers. Because it's such a subjective thing, right? When it comes to quality, it's really hard to define because it really depends on the background we are coming from, our knowledge, our tastes, right? What's high quality for me might not be so for someone else, right? So that's why it's so hard to define, and it's a subjective thing, and most of us are used to code in the way we think the best. So probably it might be not the best for someone else. So quality code is the same, right? Okay, so let's take a look at what some of the famous figures in the software industry has to say about quality code. Alright, so this person is Brady Bush. He's a software developer and he's well known for developing a unified modeling language, UML. I'm sure all of you know what that is, right? So what he's saying here is clean code is simple and direct. Clean code reads like well-written prose. So let's try to understand what he's trying to say here. Try to remember a good book that you have read. Do you remember, as you read through the words and sentences and paragraphs of this book, do you remember how those paragraphs got replaced by your mental images and you kind of felt like you were watching some kind of a movie? So this is what happens when you read something that is well written. So according to this Brady Bush, his idea, your code should read the same. Your reader of the code should not have to make an additional effort to understand what the purpose of your code. Let's take a look at another one. This is from someone called Michael C. Feathers. He is a software consultant. He wrote this book called Working Effectively with Legacy Code. This is something like a guidebook for programmers who are given a challenge to work with someone else's old code, which can be really messy, right? So he has advices and tips on how to tackle this kind of a situation if you read this book. What he's saying is clean code always looks like it was written by someone who cares. So he's emphasizing on this word care, right? I think I selected this quote specifically for this session because I felt like it's spot on with this idea. If you get to read a good quote, this is what you actually feel like. You feel like the original author of this code has really cared about the code that he has written. He has given enough attention to details and given enough time to keep it in a simple and orderly manner for his readers. The next one is from Robert C. Martin. He is actually a well-known programmer as well as a speaker and an author. He wrote this fantastic book called Clean Code. So I'd say this is probably the best book that I have read on programming because it's full of common sense. And sometimes you tend to get very frustrated while reading this book because it's full of common sense, and still, while you read it, you realize most of the things you still don't do these things. So it has a lot of best practices and advices on writing quality code. So I highly recommend you to get hold of this book and read it, all of you. What he's saying is, if you want your code to be easy to write, make it easy to read. Now this is interesting, right? He's focusing more and more on the reading aspect of it. So think about some sort of code that you have written, probably a class, and you wrote that code comment block on top, right? It says at author, and you mentioned your name and probably the email address. So what does this say? It means we programmers, we all are authors, right? Authors have a special responsibility to communicate well with their readers. So what's important for us is to understand the next time you write a line of code, remember that you are an author and you are going to have many readers to it. Alright, so since we have gone through some of the ideas from famous engineers, let's take a look at some features of a good quality code, right? What makes a good quality code? Readability. This is a lot talked, this is something we talked already. However, readability means how easy for someone to understand the purpose of your code. Right, so what makes a readable code? Good naming of variables, functions and classes. Assume you get a piece of code and when you open it, you find variables like x, br, c, x. I'm sure you all have read this kind of code, right? Do you have a sense of what the program is trying to do here? Obviously not, right? So think about whoever is going to read your code as well when you are writing a code. So as programmers, we are sometimes in such a hurry to code what we get to our hand and finish off the logic, right? But we hardly think about the readability of the code. So naming of variables, functions and classes itself is an art, which takes time and a lot of practice. good comments. So some people think that the moment you write some kind of comment, it makes your code better. Most of the time it's not, because there are a lot of bad comments in codes. Comments can be misleading, right? So you write a comment and you later on, some other day, you modify the code, but you forget to modify your comment. So whoever that is going to read it again, oh, this comment is totally misleading, right? And I have seen comments like, if you have a statement, A plus B, your comment is sum of variable A and variable B. Does it help you as a reader? You are stating the obvious, right? So these are the kind of comments that you have to avoid. It only adds to the clutter of the code, right? Consistent coding standard. So before we start a project, we often have a discussion or an argument on what kind of variable names we are going to have. Is it going to be camel case, Pascal case, or lowercase with underscores? It's good to have all these arguments. But the most important thing is, once you select or decide on one, you have to stick to it throughout your project or throughout your organization, which is better year, right? You can't be having camel case in one class. When you navigate to next class, you can't find underscores. That drastically reduces the readability of your code base. KISS stands for Keep It Simple Stupid. So, like typically, when we are programmers, we tend to make things really complicated than what it should be. This is something that we often tend to do, right? So, to improve the readability, it is very important that you keep your code as simple as possible. So I'm not saying to keep it as short as possible, because probably the shortest code might not be the simplest code. It could be a little long, but still it should be simple to understand. Without adding additional over-complexity to your code, you have to improve the readability. Extensibility is the next factor. So extensibility refers to how easy for you to add a new functionality or new feature to your existing code base. So conscious usage of OOP principles and design patterns. So I'm emphasizing on this word conscious because I have seen so many developers use these principles in wrong way and making a mess of it, right? Some people want to add all the design patterns in the world to the project that they're developing, which actually reduces the extensibility and the readability of your code. So I'm not going to talk details about this because all of these will be covered in the upcoming sessions. Solid principles. Again, this goes hand in hand with OOP principles. DRY, dry, refers to don't repeat yourself. Duplication of code is evil, right? So, the moment you feel like copying and pasting a code somewhere else inside the same project, you are doing it wrong. You shouldn't have to copy and paste any piece of code. It should be reusable. So as a result, whoever that is going to maintain your code will know there's only one place to change. If you want to change something, you don't have to search for multiple occurrences of the same thing. Testability is how much of your code can be automatically tested using unit tests or probably integration tests. Unit testing with high code coverage. So code coverage is the amount of code as a percentage from your entire code that are covered with unit tests. So by having unit tests, the main benefit is you are more comfortable when you have to refactor the code base. So assume you want to add a new feature or refactor some logic that you have, you know the moment that you got your test suite passed, you haven't broken any existing functionality. So this is a big comfort zone if you are a developer, right? So this is one importance of having unit tests in the code. And there's a lot more which I'm not going to cover in this session. So test-driven development is a software development approach where you write your test first before the implementation, right? What this actually does is, it enforces you to write more testable and more manageable pieces of code. So, if we try to summarize what we have learned so far, right? We talked about readability, extensibility and testability. If we summarize this into one sentence, quality code is easy to understand and easy to change. Would you all agree with me? Right? It captures everything, right? So, quality code is something that is easy to understand as a reader, and as a person, you are maintaining the code base, it's easy to change. This is a quality code, something that we call a quality code, right? So, having that in mind, we come to our next section. Why code quality is important? What's the problem with software that just works, right? This is our initial question. So, by the word working, we are talking about one attribute of a software. That means you meet the customers or users' requirements. That is the external quality of your software. But with the code quality, we are also talking about the internal quality. So, to elaborate more on that, I'll show the difference between a bad code and good code. So, assume that you want to add a new functionality to your existing code base. And this is your code base at the moment, which we could call spaghetti code. That's a well-known term that you use to describe bad code, because it's so messy with a lot of twists and knots, right? As you can see. So, two things going to happen with this kind of a code. See all these orange color areas. These are the areas or pieces of code that you have to change in order to add new functionality to your existing code base. See the amount of places that you have to change. So the more you have to change, right, it's a bad design of your code. So next thing, do you see how hard it is to traverse through your code base from one place to the other? Right? It's not easy to find the impacted areas. So what happens with that is, it's very easy for you to step on something that is completely unrelated and you change something else, right? You change something that is not you are supposed to do, right? What happens with that? You make mistakes and results in bugs. So this is the story of a bad code. On the other hand, same feature you want to add on top of a good code. See how well organized it is. This is the look of a good quality code. It is well organized, and see, only there are few places that you have to change compared to this one. This is a good design and a design of code, right? and see how easy for you to find the impacted areas and how easy it is to navigate from one place to another place. So it's easy to find impact and you make less mistakes. Okay, so importance of writing a quality code. Code is never written just once and then forgotten. If you think about a typical software product, your market is going to change and your customer's requirement is going to evolve. The customer will want to add new features, fix a few bugs, or remove features from the existing code. So, if somebody says that I'm going to write this piece of code and I don't care about the maintainability of it, they are probably talking about a code that didn't reach the market or didn't reach production or something that got failed in the market. Right? So, it is important to understand either you or your colleague or someone in the organization will have to maintain these codes. So why make their lives a nightmare? Right? Always think about the person who is going to maintain it. It probably may be you. Right? We read code more than we write. So if you take a look at the stats of reading versus writing code, you are talking about a ratio of at least 10 to 1. We read code 10 times more than we write. So just for a moment think about how we spend our day-to-day programming lives. Right? We read a lot of surrounding code to understand what the other developer has done in order to inject the new line of code. So it is important that you improve the readability if you want to increase the efficiency of your writing. Cost of bad code is high. So talking about the costs, right? Imagine you have a very bad code in your project, and what is your management going to do about it? Obviously, they are going to add more and more resources to your team, right? More and more resources managing your project. So, is it going to help the problem? No, it's going to actually make it worse. Because no one is going to understand what the code is doing, and they keep on adding to the same mess. It actually reduces the productivity of the entire team. It reduces the productivity. On the other end, the cost of maintenance of your bad code increases. So imagine what happens when this cost of maintenance of your code goes beyond the budget of your project. Obviously the project is going to close or fail, right? There are examples of companies which got failed due to this particular reason of bad code as well. So obviously, logically speaking, if this cost of maintenance goes beyond the budget of your company, small company, obviously your company is going to fail as well. So we talk a lot about being agile these days, right? What is this agile methodology? Simply put, being agile means you build something and you test it and you show it to your customer. And you get feedback from your customer and you come back to your office and add new features on how to fix and fix bugs and go back to your customer and show it again. This is being agile. We go on cycles and iterations. So typically these iterations have to be fast. So if you have a bad code, is it possible? Is it possible to work in an agile environment with a bad code base? Obviously not. You have to make these changes and feature additions as quickly as possible and show it to your customer. So that's why quality is must to be agile. Alright, so we had a look at the importance of quality code, right? So if we really think about this, who is the audience of a code base? It's the person who is going to maintain it, right? Who is going to maintain another live human being just like you, right? So this is one of the points to take out of this presentation. Programs must be written for people to read and only incidentally for machines to execute. So machines, of course, that will get executed anyway, right? Machine will know to execute the syntaxes if as long as you have done syntactically correct code. But it doesn't make you a good coder because you have neglected the readability and the maintainability aspect of the code. So this is very important for you to understand to start this program with. Okay, so these are some of the tips and from experience that will help to improve and walk towards a high quality code. Quality should start early. What do we normally do? We get a project in our hands, we are in such a rush, right? Your managers will want your project to go into market quickly and you really forget about the quality of the software, right? So, the thing is, your managers will do it with a lot of passion because they will really be passionate about meeting the deadline because that's the manager's job, right? Delivery on time. But being programmers, what's our responsibility? To make the code base as efficient as best possible. I mean, not to over-engineer, but keep it at a maintainable level with all the qualities that we talked about before, right? So, the moment you postpone this for a later stage, you talked about being later, and remember that later never comes, right? That will remain the same forever. So the best time to think about code quality is the first day of your software development of a project. Learn by reading good code. So there are so many resources in the web that you can read good code, and probably you are working with some of the good quality engineers in your organization. So always talk to them and see what they have done and see why they have done things in a different way than what you are doing. Also, it's a good practice to read bad code as well and understand the struggle. So that's a very good way of learning because unless you understand the disadvantages of having bad code, you won't know why we are doing all these things, right? Code reviews. So code reviewing is you get some other developer, his eyes and brain on your code and getting feedback. This is a fantastic way of knowing whether you have done a good job, right? And also, you have to give feedback and be involved in code reviews as well. That really improves your thinking pattern as a developer and shows you different paths to improve the code that you or your friend has written. Know your tools. So, we use IDEs, version control systems, frameworks. So as programmers, a must thing is to know why we are doing certain things. If you have selected a particular framework, right, on top of another framework, you have to know why, right? What are the benefits of this framework over something else? And if you are using an IDE, you have to know why you are using an IDE, why not code in a simple text editor like Notepad, which is more lightweight, right? Because IDE provides features that can improve your developer productivity. So if I ask most of the programmers, they won't answer these questions. They say that all of my colleagues and my boss wants to use this ID and since I'm working on that, right? So that's not the way software engineers should work. You have to always question yourselves why and understand why. Passion, right? So this is the core idea that I wanted to give to all of you. So if you have passion about something, that really drives you towards quality. You really won't have to take an additional effort to do most of the things that I just mentioned, right? It comes to you naturally and you won't feel like writing ugly code. You have to love your code, care about it and be proud about it, right? This is something that most of the programmers I have worked with lack. Unless you have passion about what you are doing, you are going to do it wrong, right? And a lot of practice. Quality needs a lot of practice. It doesn't come naturally to most of the people. But to develop the feeling of identifying a good code and a bad code, which is called, which I like to call the code sense, right? Some of us, we get it naturally within ourselves, but some of us have to work really hard to get this skill, right? So if you really think about all the other different professions and fields, think about different successful sportsmen or musicians or doctors, lawyers, pilots. Can you imagine the effort and practice that goes into their jobs to achieve the level of professionalism that they have reached in their jobs? So as software engineers or programmers, we shouldn't be any different. We have to practice a lot and learn all these skills and be at the top of our game, right? So practice is important and there's no substitute to it. Alright, so I'm going to sign off with this rule of thumb. Always code, as is the guide, end up maintaining a code will be a violent psychopath who knows where you live. So you know what to do now. You don't want to frustrate this psychopath. You don't want to frustrate the next developer who is going to maintain a code base, right? So quality code is not a rule. In programming, rules are syntaxes, but quality is religion. It has to come within us. You have to love your code and love what you're doing, and quality will come automatically to you. Right? All right, that's all I have. Thank you.